Welcome to Too Deep, Hokies Under the Influence. And it is Virginia Tech. This isn't some rinky-dink-ass program.
Come on, JC.
We're going to put this old guy in the grade. We'll go over some of the stats really there. 60%, 11.
It's an 11 game.
Welcome to Too Deep, Hokies Under the Influence, a Sons of Saturday podcast brought to you by Jack and Coke. You can see that can right on your screen. I'm your host, Pete B. I'm here with my normal co-host, Sam Jesse. We've also got BRM, but we are being joined by the one and only Pick Dundee, Colby Dant from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and the College Experience. Colby, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is fantastic. We get to talk college football with four people four people for the listener, right? So appreciate you guys having me. Best time of year. I mean, we're so close. I'm so sick of previewing, but let's do one more.
I know you've been doing a lot of talking this season. We'll get into a little bit of that. Get Hokie takes from Colby because he's an unbiased observer. Despite spending a little time in Blacksburg, being an East Coast guy to start out with, he is unbiased. So we'll get his opinion on how we're looking in our over-unders. But we're going to go around the country and pick some over-under plays for you, some win total plays. It's going to be a lot of fun. But first, Sam, I need you to give us a cheers.
This is Pete. We've been talking about this for a few weeks, and you and I will be in New York Saturday, Farmageddon, noon, Pig and Whistle, Midtown Manhattan. It's game week. It feels like it's been the week before game week and before week 0 for a month now, and now it's finally here. I believe we're at 89 hours until kickoff.
Oh yeah, cheers to that.
We're measuring in hours, fellas. Let's go.
All right. So make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. The Sons of Saturday channel has had a great summer. We're going to keep it going. And we're going to talk a little bit about what Colby does over at the College Experience in a second. But first, Colby, I got to ask, do you watch Barstool at all stuff? See John Gruden opening those boxes? Have you seen any of that?
I have actually. I mean, I don't watch it. I see the tweets essentially.
Yeah.
And I'm jealous. I'm envious because, you get those football helmets and I have one football helmet in my studio and that's it. And I just I know he gets a bunch of jerseys and other stuff too, but I am a little envious. I saw the Hokies on the most recent one, right?
Timeline today. 3 helmets. He got 3 helmets and a baseball helmet too, right, Bill?
And a bird. He got a
statue,
like a gnome, like a Hokie gnome.
Wait! But that happened. Does Whit Babcock know about that?
I would hope so.
What happened to budget deficit?
I just read an article how Middle Tennessee stopped doing their alternate uniforms and saved $200,000 or something. I forget what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Some crazy number, but I mean, I was surprised by that, but it's great to see the Hokies on there because, man, some of those boxes, they're like Southwest Missouri State, and you're just like, oh wow, they're sending them a box.
Worse. It was like Southwest Virginia Tech was.
Well, they had the Roanoke Maroons, who haven't even played a game yet, right? Haven't even had a game. It's Brian Steinspring's team. It was cool they got him on, but it was finally, it was on the Suns feed. I retweeted it, but the Gruden thing has become a little bit of a phenomenon. It's free publicity, and boy, did we ever send him maybe a greasing the wheels gift. Did you see the stuff about? We want to cross it in the chat, Bill, about Gruden becoming the next Virginia Tech head coach if things were to go south with Brent Pry. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah,
I mean, from an entertainment perspective, it would be very, very high. I think you're going to get a precursor to. I'm interested to see how it works out with Belichick because I'm of the belief where if you coach in the NFL, you could probably coach pretty damn well in college, even though it's a totally different game. I think the entertainment factor though would be pretty high. You can guarantee that. What was it? You that said your wife said you would go to every game if he was hired, or she would start watching.
That was Paul. That was Paul Patera. He said,
"That's right."
My wife told me if we hire Gruden, she's going to every game. I was like, "What does that mean? Is Gruden hot?" But yeah, I'm of the opinion that it would kind of go the way Herm Edwards went, Colby. It would be kind of a clunky fit, but obviously he knows the sport, but he hasn't coached in a while. I don't really know what to expect, but you would get a lot of headlines.
Yeah, I mean, I'm currently looking on a notepad of mine because a couple months back, I did a deep dive on NFL coaches actually normally are terrible when they come to college football. Like with the exception of Pete Carroll and I think June Jones, they're the only ones over the past 30 years that just stepped right in. And for every one of those, there's Dave Wanstead, there's Lovie Smith, there's I have a notepad somewhere here of like since 1990.
There are a lot that have failed.
And it's honestly, I could only come across 2 that I would define as successful, depending on, the early 90s, like Bill Walsh came back to Stanford and they had one really good year, and it depends what you would judge for that. But he was a college coach first. So that's a little different. I'm saying if you start your career traditionally in the NFL, as a head coach and all that stuff and come down, it's not a good track record historically.
Yeah. Well, that goes both ways too. It's wild how Saban fizzled out with the Dolphins, how Kiffin fizzled out
Kingsbury,
with
Sark.
Yeah.
There's been a ton the other way as well. And so, yes, we will get to see with Belichick. But I just feel like it wouldn't work. He's a little too old and farther removed. But could it be a fun ride? Could hiring Gruden, getting some money in the door, donors, whatever, getting us into a better conference, do its job, and then he leaves? Maybe. Go ahead, Sam.
No, I was going to say, it's a very, very select few people. But I think there's this idea that college football is moving more to a pro model. You're paying the players, you have GMs, you have all these analysts and stuff like that. The thing that's not changing about college football is they're still 18 to 22-year-old kids. And 18 to 22-year-old kids are a whole lot different than 23 to 33-year-old men. Mm-hmm. And that is not going to change. I'm really curious to see how a coach like Bill Belichick adapts to that. It's going to be interesting. 18 to 22-year-olds who they don't get to spend as many hours as they get to with them there. Mm-hmm. But it's not, hey, it may all be for naught when Virginia Tech comes out and punches South Carolina in the face week 1. So,
yeah, well, it's 18 to 27-year-olds if you're including Diego Pavia, so you got there are certain players that just keep getting
Terrell Smith. Yeah. And Terrell Smith. We're not sinless in that either.
I had a chance to ask at ACC Media Days Bill O'Brien that question, and he actually said, just because you're coming down to NFL or from NFL and you have these you're paying these players now and you have a general manager now, he's like, it's still way different with the hours, how many offenses and defenses are drastically different in college than to pro. But he did say, and actually Belichick said this, I wanted to ask Belichick, but someone else asked him this question. And Belichick said they're more willing to learn when they're young. When you're in the NFL and you pick up that veteran that is a journeyman, he's like, you try to tell him, hey, this is why you're a journeyman. Let me correct that, and they're reluctant to do so. So who knows? But it was interesting hearing Bill O'Brien say that, just because you think we have a general manager, he's like, they're almost like different sports.
Yeah, and at least Bill O'Brien was at Penn State before he was with the Texans
and Georgia Tech with and Maryland, I believe, with Ralph Friedgen.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so the 2D Pick'em is back. You guys can find the link to this year's Pick'em on our X page and on our Instagram page in the bio. Make sure if you want to play some games with me and Sam against the spread, hop into Pick'em. It's free, and you will win a prize pack at the end of the year, some 2D gear, that kind of stuff. Giving Day for Virginia Tech is tomorrow. It's Triumph Together. They're doing their thing. 2Deep is an ambassador. I'll tweet out the link tomorrow. Give via our link, and we'll try to be higher up on the leaderboard. You know how that stuff goes, but it's from the 20th to the 21st, Triumph Together, and I will put the link on our X page and on Instagram. Sam mentioned the game watch in New York this weekend. I'm pumped about it. Me and Sam are going to be drinking some Guinness in Manhattan for the game. Just so happened to work out. I'm a close train ride. He's visiting people. It's great.
Okay, so you just said let's meet in New York City, because I was wondering. I was like,
yeah, no, it's just random. Yeah,
it's relatively random. I mean, I'm paying rent in Brooklyn, so it's a quick train ride up from there. But we thought we would do that, and Pete was originally going to drive all the way down to Richmond. And I was like, dude, I'll meet you up there. It's a quick flight. I got you.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And we're not so far from Ireland, just a quick 6-hour jaunt over the sea, but we will be in an Irish pub to kind of get into the spirit. Although, Colby, I know you have a beef with them playing Farmageddon in Ireland to begin with.
I mean, look, you want to do a non-con game. I personally, to me, college football should be on college football campuses. I even have a beef with the Virginia Tech game. The Virginia Tech South Carolina game, I think, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Considering both those home environments are incredible. But yeah, I mean, just if you're going to do a non-con game, I mean, it's bad enough that we have these like 18 team conferences where like I'm putting together my playoff picks and everything for all these shows I'm going on. And I'm trying to look up each conference's tiebreaker because you saw it in the Big 12 last year and you're like, you have a 4-way tie. That was a 16 team conference. It's bound to happen really ugly in these even bigger conferences with 17 and 18 teams. So my one that I was struggling with was the Big 10, where you're sitting there saying, man, if I have this many teams with the same record, like I need to find what the tiebreaker will be. And some of them, they don't release it until until it's convenient for them, in my opinion, where like they can kind of be like, well, let's make sure USC can get in. Right. My point is to have a game it's an awesome football game. It's a great rivalry. I love this rivalry. I watch this game every year, but to have such a pivotal game where you could essentially send your team to the playoffs, I would feel terrible for the team that, you know what? You didn't score enough points in Ireland. You know what I mean? Like, right. You know, like I just think it's pretty cheap. I know next year's TCU and North Carolina. I'm more on board with the non-con game. The conference game could really bite the league, in my opinion. Hopefully it doesn't, and hopefully we just get a great football game and then we can just move on. But I would just imagine if you're Iowa State and you miss out because, I mean, honestly, last year,
look what it did to Florida State.
Yeah. I mean, that too. I mean, but in general, like the tiebreaker scenario, it could be like points for, points against your opponents, like all this crazy stuff where you're like, man, are you really going to have this potentially come down to a game in Ireland? It could, because these two teams are good.
Remember the tiebreaker scenario back in the Big 12 when Texas Tech, the Crabtree year, and they had Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech all tied, and it was the highest team in the BCS standings broke the tie. Like that's the kind of stuff it came down to.
Oh, as a, you know, rest in peace, but I was you know, friends with Mike Leach, and if you brought that up, oh, that's a 3-hour conversation you're going down. Right? Like that's when he's just like that's you know, he wanted a 64 team playoff. So that's when he would say he actually wanted bigger than a 64 team playoff. He wanted the loser bracket, 64 for the winner to win the national championship. But he said the others should keep playing too. Well, and you should do a 64 on the other side as well.
Like the FA Cup in England, where they start with like 937 teams and then they just whittle their way down to the last two.
I said to me and Billy Ray did kind of like a wild ideas pod over the summer. And one of my ideas was like, do the college football playoff and then have a consolation bracket. So the teams that lose continue to play. Like it's more fun games. It affects the rankings, TV money. Like it just seems, why not? Right. If you're going to let those other teams play more games, like let's have a consolation bracket.
I've never understood the, I understand the auto bid anger, right? Like what Petiti and stuff's trying to do in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But I've never understood, like, let more teams in. If they just did it off rankings, it's more football games for us, right? Like, I feel like I would be okay seeing more games.
So I sound like a boomer when I say this, and I can't get off of it. It bothers me if we legitimately want, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I want to see bowl games matter, and unless you're competing for a title, they're not going to matter. But at the same time, I don't want to see a team that's deserving of a chance to win a national championship play against a team that has no business being in it, having a critical injury, and then missing out on a national championship. That's kind of my thought process on it. If a Penn State team loses 4 games and gets in the playoff, that sucks to me. I just think that's kind of crazy.
I don't think we should go much past 12, to be perfectly honest. I think 64 in football is completely ludicrous. But I respect Mike Leach's opinion.
I think 16 is like the logistical cap.
Yeah.
Like after 16, it doesn't, like you don't have enough time in the calendar year to do it.
Yeah.
I think 12 is probably your sweet spot, but I could definitely see 16 here in the next.
They'll go to 16.
5 years.
They'll go to 16.
Yeah. I want like 24 or 32 because I just think there's so much schedule manipulation. There's just, I feel like,
well, Indiana's doing it.
There's always conference ones. Look, Kirby Smart complained about his schedule. Look at his schedule. It's fantastic. He has 3 away games, right? Like to me, unless the conferences want to release the conference schedules 5 years in advance, I don't, there's too much corruption in the sport to me. Like I did a deep dive on Iowa State and Arkansas over like 20 years. And like Iowa State, this is back when Texas and Oklahoma were in the Big 12, but I was like, they always get back-to-back away games. Like they, no matter what, Texas and Oklahoma never do, very rarely. But Iowa State each year will get 2 sets of back-to-back away games.
And you know the numbers on those back-to-back away games.
Oh yeah,
it's brutal.
We did like during COVID. I think I did a deep dive on like 5 years of that, and it's like I think this I think was like year 2015 to 2019 because it was during COVID that and the football was canceled for a little bit. I want to say the second end of the back-to-back away games for Power 5 conferences, you have a 94% chance of losing. So
God, you gotta have some crazy notepads. Your
Yeah,
notepads have to be wild.
They call them the database for a reason. That's
but you can't tell me though, because look, these leagues know the conferences know that hey, we want to put our best chances into the playoffs. So to me, then that are automatic. Like if you're a team on the come up, like Vanderbilt or whoever, trying to get back in the mix and saying we've been bad at football for a while, it makes it incredibly hard to do so. Yeah. So that's why I think you need to cast a big enough net where you can kind of cancel out some of the corruption.
Yeah.
It's a good point. And anyway, we can move on. We got stuff to get to, guys. This has been fun. We're already going in deep. I did want to mention we do have 2 events in Atlanta for the South Carolina game. Saturday in the South at Park Tavern. If you haven't signed up already, please do. And then the Sons of Saturday kickoff tailgate hosted by Mahul and TechStream. That's happening at Deer Beer Garden, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. before the game, right before the game in the beer garden across the street from the stadium. You can find all the details on the Sons of Saturday pages. A couple news and notes. Our basketball player, Nicholas Abdalis, another thing that Colby's familiar with from his basketball show is we got a 5-star recruit, fellas, a 5-star recruit at Virginia Tech. That does not happen often. Something that Ed and I and Billy went into a little bit when we had our Hokie Hoops pod, when we first signed Neo, and he lived up to Ed's billing of being like a 5-star. And what's funny too is Dorn, the kid from Germany, is a 4-star. So we now have 3 4-stars in this class and a 5. It's an absolutely ridiculous class for Virginia Tech, and it should hopefully yield some dividends for Mike Young because he got screwed over last year.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's the best recruiting class that he's had by far. And I think you look at the other things that they did in the portal, this is going to be a pretty darn good basketball team. Really, really excited to see them. I also like that they have some early season tests. I feel like the last couple seasons, the first 3-ish weeks of the season, they're playing like Delaware State and Maryland Eastern Shore and stuff like that. They have some tests in the first couple weeks. I think that's really going to help them like jumpstart the season.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right. We don't have to talk too much basketball because this is a football show today. Practice notes, we'll do them at the end after we hang up with Colby, but Ryan Castle for the Suns has been doing a great job. Him and Billy have recorded a few shows. Kyron was just on the Adam Brenneman show, the Next Up with Adam Brenneman. He didn't say too much that was different from his ACC Media Day stuff, but it's worth checking out. Adam does a pretty good job. And then Witt's presentation to the Board of Visitors was yesterday. We will do a little bit on that after we talk to Colby. Some painful quotes that might have been taken out of context that we saw on the feed yesterday. But Billy just recorded a show with Doug, correct, Bill?
Yep, it's up.
All right. So Doug Bowman, who had initially done all the details on the slide deck that Witt was presenting. Yeah, we're talking about a PowerPoint slide deck a week before the season, but that's okay. Bill got Doug on the show to kind of go over it, what Witt presented. And the TLDR is we need money. We need $200 million per year instead of $144 million to be competitive, as Witt put it. But like I said, we can get into that more. Also, captains were named for the football team. It's Woodson from linebacker, Benji Gosnell, our tight end, Kelvin Gilliam, Kyron Drones, and John Love, the kicker, gets a captain spot. How about that? He deserved it. He kicked really well last year.
He did. Highlighted my trip to the Duke's Mayo Bowl, except for seeing you.
All right. So with our win total picks, which we're going to do right now, we're going to hit the 4 major conferences, and then we're going to do a G5 independent Notre Dame Pac-12 section. And so let's start with the SEC, fellas. Let me get the win totals on the screen, and I'm going to get one like strong play from each guy. If you have any other feelings, if you want to give 2 plays, feel free. This is the SEC win totals. These are recent. This is from FanDuel, and I'm going to give our guest first crack at his favorite play on the win totals here from the SEC.
Do you mind if I say one thing about the SEC before we give our
Sure,
picks?
Bill, go ahead.
First of all, I'm wearing an SEC shirt. It's my favorite conference to watch. My second thing is this conference is so perplexing to me because there are so many teams on this board, whether it correlates with their over-under or it doesn't, that there are going to be 3 or 4 different fan bases that are absolutely devastated at the end of this year. Like the amount of teams that are going into the year and saying, this is our year, like we've been building to this year, that number is extremely high. If you just look at the entire middle of the pack, A&M, Florida, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Auburn, Ole Miss, LSU, all of these teams are convinced it's their year. Not
they
just
all
your
can't win
normal
this many
Hokie.
games.
Exactly. So it is going to be pretty wild to try to untie that knot. I'm excited to watch it play out.
Especially when you add in how many coaches are on the hot seat. Major schools, LSU, Oklahoma, Florida. I mean, I don't know if you throw Kentucky in there or Arkansas, but their coaches are definitely on the hot seat too. And you could even make a case if Mississippi State's as bad as they were last year, he could not see a year 3. But anyway, yeah. Did you want me to fire?
Yeah, fire away. Give us your best play for the SEC.
I think the best play on the board to me is if I had to power rank it, I think I'm just going to say Alabama over 9.5 wins. I think their team is very talented. I think Ryan Grubb coming back, he was at Alabama for like a week before the Seahawks hired him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been, a part of DeBoer's staff since he was at Sioux Falls. I think he's a critical component. And another thing is, I think you're another year removed from Saban because, I had a chance to interview DeBoer a couple of years ago, and I've never met Saban, but I do believe just off what I get on TV, their personalities are very, very, very different. So I think the further you distance yourself from that, the better off you're going to become. And another thing is I just think Jalen Milroe never really fit in his style of quarterback. Like you look back, it's Jake Haener, it's Michael Penix, kind of statues in the pocket. I know Penix can roll a little bit, but I just think they're better off this year, and the schedule breaks kind of nice for them. The non-con Wisconsin and Florida State, I don't really fear either of those teams really. So I think Alabama is going to be. I have them in the SEC championship game. It's hard to power rank them. I have like 5 of these I really like. So if you ask me tomorrow, I might say, well, I like this one just as much. But I think right now Alabama is the one that I'm buying a lot of stock in.
If one of the other guys gives one of your plays, just hop in there and say, yeah, I like that one too, or whatever. Go ahead, Bill.
So my rule with going through the SEC is I'm trying to pick coaches that I trust going into the year that are on the hot seat. This coach is not on the hot seat and I trust him, but I think he's dealt a really, really shitty hand, and it's Coach Heupel. You have a new quarterback. You've had a tumultuous offseason. You got Georgia, at Bama, at Florida. And I'll tell you what, like they're probably not thinking about it, but Diego Pavia is definitely thinking about it when they play them towards the end of the season. I just think there is way too much new and way too much kind of shaky. And to your point, Colby, there are a couple of teams on their schedule where it's going to be not their Super Bowl, but it's going to be one of those games that they're like, hey, we can steal this one. And those games are, you look at Kentucky, you look at Mississippi State, you look at Arkansas, Oklahoma, Mississippi State. They're not teams that you think of as, hey, this team's going to be pretty good, but they're needing to get a notch on the belt that is impressive while they're on the hot seat. So I have a really hard time seeing Tennessee winning 9 games this year. So I'm going to go with the under 8.5.
Sam, what do you got?
Those are both great plays. I like Bama this year to improve. I think Tennessee is going to take a big step back. Excuse me. I want to talk about Texas A&M real quick. And this is something interesting I found today when looking at this. So we're looking at the lines via FanDuel for the most part, but A&M's a little interesting. Texas 8-4, as they're jokingly called. So on FanDuel, they're sitting at 7.5. And I believe the price is like -170. Like it's way favoring 8 wins. DraftKings has them at 8.5 with the over at +150. Fanatics and a bunch of other books have them at 7.5, favoring it back. So the market has taken this and made saying like, look, they are going 8-4, like exactly 8-4. That's what the market has done to this team, which I think is kind of interesting. I think they're a better team than that. And you're also looking at, okay, if I want to play Texas A&M, are they favored more to go 7 or favored more to go 8? If you look at a bunch of different books, and almost overwhelmingly, they're favored more to go 8. And if you also look at FanDuel, they're only plus 235 to make the college football playoff, which at minimum is a 9 wins. Right?
Yeah.
And then I'm
It's
looking
not,
at other,
it's not like super deep odds.
I mean, I don't think they get there with 9 wins either with this schedule, because it's not Florida or LSU's SEC schedule, right? So that would mean they would have to win like 10, right? And if I look at DraftKings, they're only plus 300 to win 10. So I think the market has, like, almost in a meme sense, bet them down to 8-4, where the initial models that sports folks were putting out on the smaller markets that aren't bet as much have them at floor 8-4, most likely 9 to 10 wins.
So you're going over 7.5?
I'm going over 7.5. My model has them sixth most likely to compete for the national title this year. They return a bunch of people.
Damn.
They're off. I'd say them and Utah probably have the best offensive lines in the country. I love their running back room. If they can stay healthy, major asterisks there. I mean, it's a brutal schedule. It might come down to that game in Austin against Texas, which I don't love for them. But if I'm looking at talent and I'm looking at what the market's telling me, over 7.5 is a good bet.
That was one of my flyer plays, was A&M over 7.5, because it's Elko in year 2. He had 8 wins last year. First year at Duke, he won 8 games. Like, he's just a really good coach. And so it's not my number one play, but it's definitely one of my plays. My play from the SEC is under on Arkansas, 5.5. I'll give them Bama, A&M, Arkansas State, and Mississippi State at home. They'll get those 3 wins, but they got to go to Ole Miss, to Memphis, Notre Dame, at Tennessee, A&M, Auburn, at LSU, at Texas, and finish with Mizzou at home. Brutal schedule.
Screwed him. They screwed Pittman.
Pittman is like a dead man walking.
Guys, I said this with Iowa State and Arkansas. You do the deep dive. It's a common trait.
Yeah. So you don't have to agree with me, but I'm going under on Arkansas. I don't think I have to give a ton of reasoning here. The schedule is really tough, and Taylon Green can only do so much. So I'm going under Arkansas 5.5.
It hurts me so much because I love Sam Pittman, and I really, really like Sam Pittman, and he has been dealt just such a crappy hand again. If we have 2, do we save that for the end?
No, just go ahead. No, just do them now. Anyone's got a flyer play? Let it fly.
Kentucky under 4.5. I think they're a worse team than they were last year. They only went 4-8 last year. I think they lose to Toledo week 1. So
I like that.
Oh,
like
some
that,
people
though.
are calling that one. I'm not saying that you're basic here, Sam. I'm just saying I had heard it one other place.
Bet has already been placed.
Okay, very nice.
Plus 8.5.
Nice.
We feel good. Yeah.
Colby,
Go for it, Colby. I know you got one.
Your second.
I mean,
play.
it's Florida on the under. I'm first off, I'm just not a huge Billy Napier fan. Like, I mean, not personally. He might be a great guy. I don't know, but when he was at Louisiana, I really felt like the rest of the Sun Belt West was terrible, and they barely eked out these wins against bad teams. Now, he put together a good record and great recruiting, but to me, in-game coaching, I've never been impressed with him. And then you look at that schedule, you look at Lagway's injury history. Lagway, we only saw him play 1 road game last year, and that was at Florida State, and no one was there because Florida State was a 2-win team, even in the rivalry game. Go watch that game. It's like half empty, right? So I don't know that I just like to fade young quarterbacks when they actually hit the road. And you look at their schedule this year. I don't know how you find 8 wins there. To me, like, I mean, I know early on they get like Long Island and South Florida, but after that, I think they have a 4-game stretch, which you could argue might be the toughest 4-game stretch in America, with at LSU, at Miami, home to Texas, and at A&M.
I mean, is it the hardest schedule in the country, basically?
Them or Wisconsin, I think, to me, is the clear cuts.
Their total moved
the
up
hardest
over the summer. It went from 6.5 to 7.5. And then we're hearing things about DJ Lagway, which Danny Cannell pointed out in his FPI video that he put out. But like, Lagway is not the healthiest guy. He's already dealing with some nagging stuff. And Yeah, I would like that as I had that on my list as a potential play as well, Colby, the Florida under. Go ahead, Bill. What do you got?
Yeah, I am with you on Napier, but it sucks. I feel like he just got off the hot seat and he's going to be thrown right back on it if that under hits. I am not pandering to the swaths of LSU fans that are on this page, and I know there are a good bit of you. But the case against LSU going over 8.5 is I think they are going to lose to Clemson. I think that is going to happen. I think they will lose that game. Brian Kelly is not great in week 1. But here's the deal. Brian Kelly is a great coach. Brian Kelly, in my opinion, is one of the 5 to 8 best coaches in the game right now. He has to make the playoffs this year. That is not a negotiable. If he's playing in the upper echelon bowl that is not in the playoff, it is not going to be okay. They have the best returning quarterback in the league. Nussmeier had an 80 QBR last year. He threw 29 touchdowns. So even factoring in that loss against Clemson, I think that they go over on this 8.5. I'm looking at some of these games. Like you got Florida, you got Ole Miss, you got South Carolina, you got A&M. The automatic loss, and I don't even feel like calling it an automatic loss because this has been competitive every year, as Alabama in November. So I feel pretty confident that LSU is going to be in the playoffs, and their fan base is you better be in the playoffs or else. And they'll need to go over 8.5 to do that.
That 8.5 under is tasty to me. The exact opposite of what you're saying. Like they play 7 ranked teams. There's been a little bit about Nussmeier's health. The offensive line is a question. Brian Kelly left Notre Dame and Notre Dame got better, which I didn't think would happen. I didn't
either.
But it did happen. And so I don't know. I'm not playing LSU under, but it is one of those top 10 teams that could potentially fall all the way out of the top 25 by the end of the year. That's as we've seen happen virtually every year in college football. Colby, do you have anything else from the SEC before we move on?
Yes, I do. I have Vanderbilt over 4.5 wins.
Let's go.
I actually have another play too, but Vanderbilt is to me like you have a 7th-year quarterback and a guy that's an absolute dog. And to me, that the non-conference, I think every game is winnable in the non-conference. Win a bowl. I'm saying win a bowl. All right.
More than winnable.
I know.
More than winnable.
It's definitely winnable. I'm just kidding.
And I think South Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee are winnable games. It wouldn't. Obviously, he's 3-0 against Hugh Strip Club Freeze. So he's got to come into to Nashville this year, and I just buy in on that offense. And I think it's a very hard offense to get prepared for on a short notice. If you're not playing in week 1, I think it's very challenging if you have your bye week, if you don't have your bye week there. But I'm just going to trust that coaching staff. I think it's one of the better coaching staffs in the conference. So
I'm going to bet that today. That's a good bet. I like that.
My last one, I think, is Mississippi State under, because that home slate is absolutely awful. They got Arizona State, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss. They get Alcorn and NIU, but
they got Southern Miss week.
Southern
1.
Miss to start the year.
I think Southern Miss is live. That's
and
when
that's
you talk
at
Toledo.
Southern Miss, right?
At the Rock. Yeah, like you talk to Toledo, which I'm intrigued by that game. I think Toledo's live too. I think Southern Miss. I think that parlay would be pretty juicy if you did a Southern Miss Toledo parlay there for week 1. But yeah. Anyway, I
liked the Florida underplay that Colby put out there. I liked Sam's over on Texas A&M play. I liked Billy's under Tennessee play. Those were all things I had written down. So there's some agreement there, but my 2 plays were Arkansas under 5.5 and Mississippi State under 3.5. Are we ready to close this out? Move to the Big Ten.
Can I just say one more really quick?
Yeah.
Georgia over 9.5. They only play 3 road games. 3 road games in college football. That's going to smash.
And they've won 32 straight home games.
Yeah.
So you do the math.
You're not worried about Stockton?
Smart's got a history of like any. I mean, did we know who Stetson Bennett was when he replaced 5-star JT Daniels? So like, I just am going to trust the system. He got a genius schedule, and they host Alabama and Texas. I think they'll get one of those there, if not both. So
well, and here's the other thing too. Georgia will be able to run the football this year. They could not run the football last year. So I'm with you there.
Yeah.
All right, before we move to the Big Ten, I want to tell you guys that Two Deep is brought to you by Jack and Coke. Two legends, one can, Jack and Coke, the #1 cocktail in the world, is now available in a can. Yes, it's true. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey mixed with Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is now available in a can at your local grocery and convenience stores. Two legends, one can, Jack and Coke. We are so happy to have them back on board this year. Ready to drink. And as always, please drink responsibly. Can I ask you, Colby, are you drinking something over there? You got an alcoholic beverage?
I do have an alcoholic beverage, and it's actually mind-numbing, actually, what I'm drinking right now. Well, it is a Labatt Blue, which I thought was Canadian, but it says brewed in the United States of America on the front of the bottle, which has me even more confused because what? Now, Budweiser gets made in Europe. Labatt Blue gets made in America. Like, what are we doing here, folks? Like, what? I mean,
I would bet they have a brew house in America, but it's a Canadian-born company.
But
right?
they rep it on the front of the bottle, brewed in the USA. Look at it right there. Like,
Kind of love it. Kind of love it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
It's a
Kinda
big
love it.
Buffalo Bills beer, right? Like they came across the border.
If I'm being honest, I was at the grocery store, and I just grabbed. I was just like, I just grab a 6-pack, something, right? And I'm like, I haven't had Labatt Blue in forever, like probably 20 years. So I just like, let me get a 6-pack of that. I wonder if it's any good. It's not that good, guys. I'm sorry. Even though it's brewed in America, it's not that good. All right?
They serve it at the Dome in Syracuse. A lot of Labatt Blue for sale at the Carrier Dome.
I'm just gonna say Molson better than Labatt Blue. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. Right?
I'm with you on that. Sam, what are you having?
I have a weird one. I went to the store today. I got a bunch of new ones that I've never had before. Most of them I haven't had before to have on the show we have a bunch of shows coming up. This is the Lavinade lemon lavender lager from Jack's Abbey Craft Lagers.
Oh, that is wacky.
So I love lavender in my like coffee and espresso. If you haven't had it in anything, it's like a really subtle floral flavor. It's really good. And it goes great with lemon. So I had to try this. It is very shandy looking. Like that really pale yellow. It smells like lavender, which is kind of weird, but it tastes like lemonade. It's really good. It's weird.
Do you ever do you do the lavender on your pillow there, Sam, to get a better night's sleep? I've
done that.
I've
Don't
done
know.
it.
There's nothing wrong with doing that.
Yeah.
Yes, that works. Yeah.
Lavender CBD tincture.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
You want a good night's sleep.
We're making lavender masculine tonight. I like that. All right. What do you got over there, Billy?
I looked in the fridge, and I've been in the Cape for the last week, and I didn't have any fun beer. I still have the Stella that we had for Pat's 30th birthday when we played Duke. I have 3 of them left in the fridge.
The double bird Stella.
You play Duke in football or basketball? That thing's been
we
there for
played
a
with
while.
football, and we did lose.
Okay.
It was tough.
Oh yeah, that was during football season. Yeah.
Yes, it was.
I'm drinking a really weird beer, Helles Schlurbacher lager beer. I was telling Billy about this when we signed on. It's a German beer, and they kind of like make it so it smells like the town that they brew it in. It's like a town with like caves, and it's got this smoky flavor. And I said to Bill, this beer is like, it's like a smoky whiskey, but a beer. Like, you know, when you have some of those whiskeys that have that real smoky flavor. I've never had a beer like this. I've seen this can before. You guys probably recognize like that typeface. Impossible to read, impossible to pronounce, but I'll get it on our Untapped so people can figure it out. The Helles Schlurfenberger Lagenbier. Let's go with that.
Sure.
All right, guys, let's get into the Big Ten. Let's see. Add the win totals to the screen. Sam, why don't you go first this time?
All right. So out of the Big Ten. Oh, shoot. Oh, no. I have so much stuff here, guys. And so many notes. I'm sorry. Okay. My absolute favorite. And this is like one of every year I can like hitch my wagon to a couple teams. My team this year is Washington. The Huskies. 7.5. This is a winning program. Like all this program does is win football games outside of the year that they went 0-12. It's at plus 110 on FanDuel right now, so it's great value there.
Yeah.
They have absolutely reloaded. They have a top 25 transfer portal class. Back-to-back years, they've had top 25 recruiting classes. They've kept a lot of guys in the program. did a really good job at attacking weaknesses in the transfer portal. Damon Williams Jr., dog. Like
All right.
DAWG, dog at quarterback. Boston at wide receiver is really good. I really like this team. They get Ohio State at home in Seattle, where they've won 20 straight games. They get Illinois in Seattle, and they get Oregon in Seattle.
Okay.
I'll
that play.
I'll co-sign that one too.
Nice.
I like the DC hire of Ryan Walters too. I know that defense
Excellent
is
hire,
probably
yep.
the biggest question mark, but I think he's a very good defensive coordinator, even though I know he was a bad head coach at Purdue. But prior to that, he had a pretty good track record. And Jed Fish is one where I was a skeptic when he got hired at Arizona, but he's made me look like a fool a few years. I'm joining in.
Nice.
So give me the over 7.5 too. I think they might be able to win those road games too, man. I don't know if you guys caught that, but Michigan already lost their one of their left tackles for the season. That they play at Michigan, at Maryland, at Wisconsin, at UCLA. Like that's a nice road schedule. Though Michigan game is okay, that's a hard place to win, but the other ones I think are very winnable.
They were really bad in road games last year. I think the travel hit some Big Ten teams pretty hard. I'm going to assume that they are a little bit better at handling that this year.
I do think that's a thing, you guys, if for your week by week stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because you look at the NFL, it's valid in the NFL. This is why I think it's stupid to have all these teams in the conference, but like that's a legit thing. I don't think many of these teams are going to win on the West Coast and vice versa. When they go far east, you saw USC lose at Maryland. I mean, that's ridiculous right there. I mean, that should not happen. But I think that's going to be a real thing. If it happens in the NFL, that I do believe that is one where that stat is real and it will continue to be real.
Yeah, because they have every luxury in the world, and you still see West Coast teams lose on the East Coast all the time in the NFL. So nice. You got the cosign from Colby on that one, Sam. Washington over 7.5. Billy, what do you got?
I have 2 picks that I would love to lay down on a lavender covered pillow with, and this is one of them. There is no way Nebraska is not going over 7.5. Like there's just zero way. They don't have Oregon on the schedule. They don't have Ohio State on the schedule. And Pete, you said before, I think it was LSU had this many ranked teams on the schedule. Which
I know it's preseason rankings, but
for sure. But Michigan has to be the most inappropriately ranked team in the country. Them in South Carolina, their ranking is preposterous. The fact that Michigan is a top 15 team,
I'm with you, man.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't.
So I'm looking at the schedule. They have 4 true road games. They are at Maryland, Minnesota, UCLA. Got to go across country, and Penn State. And then they have that neutral site game in Arrowhead against Cincinnati. But I don't see why they don't start at least 3-0 and likely 6-0. Cincinnati, Akron. I couldn't tell you who this is. I think it's Houston Christian, Michigan, Michigan State, and then Maryland.
Have you guys seen Houston Christian's stadium?
I have not seen Houston Christian Stadium.
It has a CVS
in the stadium. That is pretty amazing.
No, I'm serious. If you Google images, there's a CVS. I mean, you're playing like it's basically like an NA.
So you can pick up your script there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just going to the random CVS, because it's not in the stadium, but it's at the stadium, if that makes sense. My point is that like if you go to the CVS, you're catching the game.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
No.
He likes Nebraska.
That was very important information.
You believe in Matt Rule. You believe in.
I believe in Matt Rule. I believe in Dylan Raiola. I think Dylan Raiola has been a improperly painted a villain who hasn't grown up idolizing somebody. He idolizes the best quarterback in the game.
Wait, and he gets to play in Arrowhead too?
Yes,
where his idol gets to play.
Yes. Talk about a guy. He's gonna be dropping Patrick Mahomes scent on his pillowcase. But I tell you what, Nebraska over 7.5. I am ultra confident in Nebraska over 7.5.
I'm gonna ride too on this. Now it wasn't one of my top ones, but I just believe. I was a hater on Marcus Satterfield, who was the OC last year. They fired him midway through the season, brought in Dana Holgorsen. I think they brought him in like November 3rd or something. So like the fact he had the whole offseason with Holgorsen, I think will really be to a benefit with him. And then that schedule was just so nice, and all the other points. And I will say this, guys, if there's one West Coast spot where I don't fear, it's at UCLA, because I think Nebraska might have the crowd.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So 2 for 2 with Colby co-signing your picks. Colby, do you have your own pick?
I do have my own picks. The Nebraska one was further down mine just because, like, for some reason, I just feel like they have bad energy since they left the Big 12. They don't fit in. And I just feel like because Scott Frost was like, they were in a lot of those games against teams like Ohio State and Michigan, where you're just like, man, I can't believe they're in the game, but they would just find ways to lose these things. So I kind of feel like it's just, the college football gods getting back at them. But I will go to one that I'm very bullish on is I'm going to take Maryland under 4.5 wins.
Got it. That's on my card. Yep.
Maryland.
Look, they have a new athletic director there, and a school. I believe a new school president too. I could be wrong about the president, but I believe a new school president too. I think the writing's on the wall. They're starting a freshman quarterback. They got new coordinators at both spots. And you look at that schedule, and they always go light on the non-con. They were like Indiana before Indiana, but no one ever caught them because they didn't have success to that point. They were never
good, right?
Yeah, but I still think that Northern Illinois game's tricky. That, like, you've seen it last year with Notre Dame, and I believe they beat Maryland the last time they played them. But to me, it's just you're asking too much, and I think he's one of the worst in-game coaches in college football. You saw it when he was at New Mexico, took over Rocky Long's program after they axed him, and Rocky Long had a good success at New Mexico, and the guy ended up going, I think, 3-34, I think, or 3-33. Well, that to me shows where you can coach. I know it's a hard job, but it's like he gave you kind of like that thing going with some steam behind it, and to be that bad with it, I just don't see it too. You look at the schedule, it's like, unless they can win at Wisconsin, I think that's the only way you get over that. But I to me, I'll take Wisconsin with their starting quarterback from last year, Billy Edwards, Maryland starting quarterback, went to Wisconsin. And to me, you have a freshman quarterback on the road in Camp Randall. Even though I'm not high on Wisconsin, I still think that's a loss. I can't, and I think they could lose to Northern Illinois. So give me the under on Maryland.
The only counter I have to the Maryland play, I hate Maryland. So this is just pointing something out. It's probably the easiest schedule in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. It is a very, very.
But where are they favored in the Big Ten?
I have it as the easiest in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not going to fight for Maryland here. I don't think Loxley's a good coach. They just get 2 new coordinators, new special teams, like new everything. It's not pretty there. They're gonna be one of the teams that has to, eat up the losses in the Big Ten, because you see a lot of high win totals on here as well. And so I'm not yay or nay. I'm not going with you on the under. It's just a stay away from me.
Can I say this though? I think, and I haven't checked it in like a week or two, so if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I believe you can find pretty good odds on lower than 2.5 conference wins in the Big Ten.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
out there. Line? Okay.
On DK or FanDuel. I gave it out like a week or two ago. Unless that thing's changed, I haven't kept up to date with it, but I think you might be able to find, because I don't really have them favored in any Big Ten game, really.
So it can be the easiest, but it still doesn't matter. They still won't be favored.
Yeah,
no, they're still the worst. Yeah.
I mean, well, the problem is, to me, like, the 2 most winnable games are Wisconsin and Rutgers, and those are both on the road.
Yeah. And we hate that train horn at Rutgers. It was tough for us to win there. We lost. So let's move to my pick. I'll go with Indiana under 8.5. Yes, this is a reversion to the mean pick. I like what Sig did there last year. How can you not? But they kind of did it against an easy schedule. And this year, things have changed in conference. The out of conference is obviously still easy, but Illinois, at Iowa, at Oregon, Michigan State, UCLA, at Maryland, at Penn State, Wisconsin. And so you come off that historically good year. I like Mendoza, but his numbers at Cal weren't amazing. He takes a lot of hits. I just feel like they'll probably an 8-4 football team. And some of the magic from last year is rubbed off. They're not sneaking up on anyone this year. So I am on a slight under on Indiana, but I still think this is my top play in the conference.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was going to move to.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I I watched a lot of Cal football. I'm not saying Mendoza's bad, but I was pretty surprised that some scouts were saying he might be the first quarterback off the board. I was like,
He's
what?
not that great. He's
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
not that great.
I mean,
agree.
he's a solid college football quarterback. From what I watched last year, but I was pretty shocked at that news. I was like, whoa, first quarterback off the board.
I do think he'll have a nice year with Signetti because I think they have some. Did they get good receivers? I can't remember. But
They still
lost,
got the kid from JMU.
Yeah,
they
let
still got
them-
Surratt.
yeah, Surratt. There you go.
So, yeah, that was someone you and Patty C talked a lot about on your show.
Oh, we argued over a lot of, but he's a good player. I mean, he's definitely a good player. I'll say that.
All right. So, who else has a play from the Big Ten? I'm on that under 8.5 for Indiana.
I'll tell you what, it has been so sad. I just hate that Michigan State sucks. Like, they suck and they're just kind of irrelevant. Made the one of the first 4-team college football playoffs, and that's not who I'm picking. I'm actually picking USC. There is no. I think USC starts 4-0, and then they're taking on Illinois at home, and there's a chance that there's college game day at that game. As weird as that sounds, I think both of those teams have a really good chance to be undefeated. Illinois is going to have to beat Duke at Duke to remain undefeated, but over 7.5. Lincoln Riley needs it. I say he needs it. There's no way they're firing him unless he wins like 4 games because the buyout is just preposterous. But I mean, their schedule: Missouri State, Georgia Southern, Purdue, Michigan State. I think that's 4-0. Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame. Michigan and Notre Dame, that's kind of the tough part of the schedule. Get to Nebraska, Northwestern, Iowa, Oregon, UCLA. You can go back and listen to that slowly if you'd like, but just take my word for it. I think there are 8 wins in that line there.
Illinois USC replay of the 2008 Rose Bowl.
Ooh, nice
on
pull.
right now.
Yeah. Some of you remember who were the players of that Illinois team?
Juice Williams.
Juice Williams was the
dude, I had
running
a
back.
jersey.
That's probably after Mendenhall, right? Who's the running back?
Oh, I think it was
Mendenhall was there.
Okay,
It was Juice
okay.
Williams and
Yeah.
Mendenhall. Yeah, they got
Damn.
crushed by USC. Like
That was the last time they were good, right?
50
I'm
to
gonna-
10 or
we
something
all?
like that. Yeah.
I'm going to co-sign this though. I'm pretty bullish on this one, man. You look at USC's season last year; they were in almost every game. I would say every game. I know the Notre Dame game is the one where you say I think they had a fourth quarter lead in every single game, minus the Notre Dame game. And the Notre Dame game one, you had 2 pick sixes that kind of blew that game out of proportion
Yes.
late in that fourth quarter. I'm with you that I think I think first off, Lincoln Riley not going to get a quarterback. The guy must know that he's got something.
Yep.
I really buy into that. And then I also think the defense will be tougher in the second. They showed signs actually of being tougher. They just weren't all the way there. I think it will take another step closer. I think the schedule kind of breaks nice for him as well. So I'm all over the USC over 2. And I think there's a path where they could get to the Big Ten championship. I really do.
Yeah.
Sam, any strong other feelings from the Big Ten?
No, it's I think this is one where you let the season play out. There's a lot of moving parts here.
I mean, I think one of Penn State or Oregon is going under, but trying to figure out like which one it
it's
is.
more
I think it's Oregon.
Yeah.
more likely to be Oregon, but if you look at
I mean, they have 11 Power 5 opponents or Power 4 opponents. Oregon does.
Their best offensive players.
If you
out for the
include,
year,
I'm
too.
including Oregon State in that. It's a rival, so I'm including them as a power opponent. That's 11 tough games.
I hear what everyone's like saying about Oregon and like, oh, maybe it's a step back. Maybe so their entire defense is like high rated 4 stars and 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
They have a 5-star quarterback. They got the best portal running back. Their offensive line is stacked. Like
Coach is a dog.
coach is a dog.
We're
great home
having a
field
tie-dye
advantage. Like,
game. I mean, dude, yeah.
They got to go East Coast more or less 3 times. I know Iowa's not East Coast, I guess technically, but they
Yeah.
got to go to Penn State, to Iowa, and to Rutgers. Not that
They're
Rutgers
not winning
is
in
good.
Kinnick. They're not winning in Kinnick. I'll bet somebody right now.
Yeah, I like that Iowa. If Penn State and Iowa beat them, they're under.
Yeah,
Right,
and
yeah.
they play at Washington, which has been a house of horrors.
I
for them
agree.
lately.
I
So
agree. I'm staying away from the top of the Big Ten though.
Yeah,
Too many
I wanted to take
questions.
Michigan under. I just couldn't. Their schedule.
I like the Michigan under too, Bill.
I do too.
I just couldn't get there. I think their schedule actually works out pretty nicely. I wanted to take their under, but I
They do have 6 roadies this year, which is uncommon for them.
I think Oklahoma beats them by like 30 points.
wow.
Money line Mateer,
Oh my God.
Johnny Oklahoma. And I think Oklahoma is going
Is
to
that's in Norman, right? Yeah.
It's in Norman. I think that is going to be I think take Oklahoma spread whatever it is.
All right, closing words, Colby. We got to move on to the Big 12.
Iowa over 7.5 as well. That's one that I like a lot. Mark
All right.
Gronowski, FCS quarterback, comes in, won 2 natties at South Dakota State. I've always wondered why Iowa never got a mobile quarterback, because I'm like, wait a second, your offense is terrible. If you just got a mobile quarterback that can strike a little fear in you, this is the guy. And he's Pavia style. He's like 5th or 6th year, and also runs pretty. He will run you over.
Need
so
that defense to improve, though.
I think it will, though.
Okay.
I think it will. I think Phil Parker, you know, you're right. Last year, they actually took a pretty big step back for Iowa.
It wasn't the typical Iowa defense we're used to. All right, Big 12.
Let me throw up in my wastebasket.
Yeah.
This was the hardest.
This was tough.
This is so tough.
I can go first. Some of you guys have gone first other times. Does
go
anyone
last.
have a strong feeling?
Sam is all over this. Sam,
Okay,
Sam
go ahead.
spent
Give
more
me
time
last.
on this.
Do you want
and
last?
is so
I'll
excited.
go first.
You got to let him go last.
Mine is Houston over 5.5. It's not the best odds. I think it was at -196, but I like Willie Fritz. 6 away games. That's a bad side of it. But Willie won 4 games in year 1. Can he get 2 more in year 2? I believe he can. He's that good of a coach. The night game at Oregon State could prove pivotal, but that's a very winnable game for Houston. And even if they lose that, they can get to 6. The schedule's manageable. And I just think 5.5 is too low for this team. He's that good of a coach. He's going to a bowl. So over 5.5 is Houston.
I'm going to co-sign this. I actually have them playing in the championship game, but losing.
Yeah.
So I think Connor Wegman is all the difference. I actually think this is the best schedule in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think they get the best. Now I know that what you think in the Big 12 in August, I don't know that it will hold up through the whole season, but I'm buying in that I think Connor Wegman is actually a very good quarterback. It needs to find the right fit, and I think he found his Michael Pratt here. So I think it's going to work out. And if that offense was dreadful, the defense was good. I think the defense will still be okay despite losing the DC.
Awesome. Sam, or Billy, what do you got?
I am going to try to not overthink this. I love Kenny Dillingham, and I love Sam Levitt. And Sam Levitt, you know, we're all talking about Scadaboo's not there anymore. Sam Levitt performed it wasn't like he just kind of cruise controlled his way down there. I mean, he got into an absolute gunslinging shootout the last 2 or 3 games of the season, and that's with an injured wide receiver core. I really, really like Sam Levitt. Excuse me. And I love Dillingham. And the stretch that I'm a little concerned about is you do have Utah away, Texas Tech at home, Houston at home, and Iowa State on the road. But I just have too much faith in Dillingham and have too much faith in Sam Levitt. Top 10 in QBR last year. I believe he's a freshman. Sam, you'll know how old he is.
Was he a red freshman?
No, he was at Michigan State, right?
For 1 year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's young. I believe in Arizona State. I think they'll be in the Big 12 title game again.
State over for Billy. Okay, Colby, your turn.
I will go to Utah over 7.5 wins. Devin Dampier, I think, is going to be. I think there's value in taking a Heisman for Devin Dampier. They have, I think, one of the better offensive lines in college football, and then if you had a chance to, this guy rushed for over 1,000 yards at New Mexico, and really was the only reason why New Mexico won 5 games. He's got to work on turning the ball over, but I think if you're Whittingham and Jason Beck, which he has the same OC from New Mexico, he came over with him. I don't think they're going to ask him to do that many things. And Whittingham's got a history of running his quarterbacks, which I think will be to his benefit. So the Morgan Scalley will have that defense in decent shape. The O-line, I've never seen Whittingham this confident on his O-line. He said he's been at Utah since 1994 as part of a staff. And he said, this is by far the best offensive line we've ever had. I'm just going to trust that. And yeah. So I'm just going to trust that. And I think Dampier is actually like an electric player that could really be a difference maker in college football this year.
On that note, the Big 12 is so interesting because I'm about to say this about Utah, but you could really say this about any school in the Big 12, but there's not an automatic loss on Utah's schedule. I think Kyle Whittingham, I have so much respect for him, and I don't know how much longer he's going to coach. I don't see him coasting in 500 football into the sunset. I think he's still got a couple of good years left in him. I do also think it's a little peculiar that they're playing at Wyoming. I bet Sam has that in his Google Calendar and has canceled everything going on.
There's been a couple big schools that have played at. We had Texas Tech there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
week three is a weird week. I'm pretty sure that's the same week that Arkansas travels to Temple, or it's Oklahoma's at Temple.
Oklahoma's at Temple, yeah. Hoping to go to that one. So what I had written down, Colby, regarding Utah was they haven't been good the last 2 years. Whittingham probably has lost his fastball, but over is probably the play. So I agree with the Utah overplay. I just feel like this is a bit of a bounce back spot for that crew. And the Cam Rising thing always hanging over their head, I just don't think was good for the locker room or anybody. And Rice Eccles is such a tough place to play. Like, I like them hitting that 7.5 over. All right, Sam, it's your turn.
Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's Utah. 2 first-round tackles and a quarterback that led the nation in sack avoidance last year. They might give up like 6 sacks the whole year. It's crazy. My overplay I love is Texas Tech. I know it's flashy. I know it's glitzy. They are so much more talented than every other team on the line of scrimmage that I think that's going to overpower a lot of teams, even though I don't think their skill position players are like elite, like we saw with Texas and Oklahoma when they were running this conference. So I'm taking the flyer on Texas Tech's talent. I think it's worth the price. I actually placed under BYU right the day that the Retzloff news came out at 7.5 at plus 120.
Nice.
6.5. I think they're going to be bad. Yep. But my biggest play for this one, if you bet 2 units, so enough money to make 2 units on Baylor plus 700, Texas Tech plus 650, Utah plus 600, K-State plus 600, Arizona State plus 600, all of those to win the Big 12. If one of those teams wins the Big 12, you're guaranteed to make money.
Not bad. That's not a bad play. It gives you a little bit of a wide net. However, that wouldn't have worked last year, right? Because Arizona State was way down.
No. See, that's the key. So here's what I think about this conference. Like, I think if you're watching on YouTube, and please do support us on YouTube, those teams in like the left-hand column, like Arizona State through Utah, I think are significantly better than the teams on that right side of the column. Like, I think everyone's talking about everybody's going to beat each other up. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are like 3-9.
It won't go like that this year.
I don't see it.
So my question for this, as we I don't want to spend too much time in the Big 12 because we still got the ACC.
That's all I got.
And can move on. Are we undervaluing Gundy at 4.5? Like,
Yes.
who would have thought that Gundy would be sitting here with an Oklahoma State team and we'd have that team at 4.5? Colby, what are your thoughts on that? Is this like just a complete stay away because of what's been going on with that roster?
Cook Cobe.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's his starting quarterback's name is Hoss Henny. I'm not going to fade that. All right. I'm not going to fade that. I'm not going to be that guy, but,
He's a Hoss.
Yeah. Look, Gundy's just proven for a long time. I find it as a mystery team. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole, but, I would, if you were asking me to make a pick on the 4.5, I would say I would take the over just cause his history. The guy's never had 2 losing seasons in a row as the head coach of Oklahoma State. So I will side with the history, but yeah, they're fascinating because I think it was 73 new players. I mean,
nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even Oklahoma State fans, I reached out to a beat reporter and he was like, I got no idea. He's like, I mean, this was a few weeks ago. So, I mean, maybe he'd have a different opinion now, but he was like, your guess is as good as mine. So even their guys covering the team are like, maybe.
This is the clarification on Sam's pick. He said BYU under 7.5 because that's when he got it. The number for BYU today is 6.5. And my secondary play, my flyer play would be BYU over. I think the Retzlaff thing has undervalued this team to a point that now, if you middle it, Sam, we could both win some money. And I just think they're always an older team. They're always like, there's 6. I think they have, it's not the best schedule in the world. And they lost their quarterback, but 6.5 for BYU. They like almost every year they come out on top and they've been very good the last couple of years. I know they've the Liv Moss game wasn't so good, but for the most part, they played some very good football. And I just think they can get to 7 wins. So I kind of like the BYU over 6.5. All right.
I'll Sam, I love you, brother, but I'm going to battle you on Texas Tech. I think they already lost their starting running back who they paid a lot of money for.
That sucks. Yeah.
And the to me, the road schedule is very daunting. At Utah, at Houston, who I'm particularly high on, at Arizona State, at Kansas State. And I don't like when they play West Virginia, the final game of the year, because I know Rich Rod's offense is a timing-based offense. I don't expect West Virginia to be very good this year early on, but getting them the final week of the season on November 29th, I think is a tricky game. And Baron Morton's never been healthy more than like 3 weeks. So that's a scary thing to me.
That's true.
Yeah. I think you're definitely, if you're pro Texas Tech, like I am this year, you're definitely banking on they hit on the, like all these guys hit. If all those guys hit, they should win. They should go 10-2 if all those guys hit. If they don't hit, then they get brought down to like the muck of the rest of the conference. So I think if you like them, you're taking a flyer that they strike gold or strike black gold, I guess, in their case. And then you see where the chips fall. So, I can't imagine a conference that's more wide open and more interesting than the Big 12 is this year.
Agreed.
Let's move to the G5 before we get to the ACC and Virginia Tech.
Okay.
We got G5, Pac-2, and independent totals on this page if you're watching on YouTube. That includes teams like Notre Dame, UConn, the service academies, everybody. And I put as many as I could here, some of the teams I liked, some of the higher totals. And you don't have to pick off of this list. But Billy, let me go to you first. Do you have a play outside the Power Four that you want to give to us here? And be short and sweet because we're over an hour and I want to move.
There's a ton of movement in college football. There's a ton of people who are out to look to get paid. There are 3 schools that don't give a damn about any of that, and they're just here to protect the country, and they're here to be great. And one of them has Blake Horvath, who is the 6th best quarterback in QBR in America. I love Brian Newberry, and they will win more than 8.5 games. And if I'm Notre Dame, I'm pretty afraid to play them this year.
All right, and so you like the prediction? I think it was Athlon had them as in the championship game. So you must be on board with that.
I'll
didn't
jump
copy it. I didn't even read Athlon. I can't read.
I'll jump on that too. The schedule they have within the conference is incredible. Drew Cronick is their OC. He actually passes the ball a little bit more than those traditional option quarterback or option offensive coordinators, and that schedule just lines up too good, and they return too much production. Their entire backfield's back.
Every team they play gets pillaged every single year, and they're just out there doing marches in the backyard. I mean, I'm riding with Navy.
Colby, what do you have?
I have a lot in the G5, but I'm going to start with Southern Miss, which is off the board. I'm going off the board. Southern Miss, guys, I don't understand this, and I truly believe maybe it's just my ridiculous ego, but I believe I moved this number.
Right, I'm on the over, dude. I can't believe you're about to say this. That was my pick.
Well, it was 4.5 in June. I went on me and another guy. Shout out to Tim Murray, if anyone knows him. He used to cover Notre Dame football and works with VEASAN, does the college football podcast there. We on live TV. We're like, I don't understand this line. 4.5. It jumped to 5.5, but I still think it's ridiculous. This is basically Marshall last year. They brought in what? I think it was 30 players from Marshall or something, something similar to that. And I love the OC hire of Blake Anderson, who I thought got a raw deal at Utah State. He won a Mountain West championship. Then you add in the fact that if you follow Southern Miss football history, they have a passionate fan base, and they haven't been good in a while. And this is going to ignite that fan base. And I like their schedule. I think the Sun Belt West is incredibly down right now. Short of Texas State, I think the rest is kind of in a rebuild. You look at South Alabama, they lost Gio Lopez, they lost Fluff Bothwell, 2 of their best players. I think even though Applewhite was impressive last year, I think they're just not going to be that good this year. Troy is in shambles, I feel like. The Arkansas State, Butch Jones can't coach, right? So I feel like they still have divisions in the Sun Belt. So yeah. Not only do I like the win total over, I think they're going to win the Sun Belt.
Wow.
I think the only threat to me is James Madison. I don't really see the other schools on that
You see
level.
Louisiana on the screens at 7.5.
They return like 2 starters though, man. And
Yeah.
I know they have Walker Howard coming in, but
Down on Louisiana this year.
We are Southern Miss. I'm with you.
I like Southern Miss a lot, and that's literally my top play. And I didn't even put it on the board because I was like, "This is my
Being sneaky?
my secret play." and Colby nailed it right off the bat. So hey, I like to match Colby. He's one of my favorite handicappers out there. He helped me win my pick'em last year just by me listening to their podcast. So the college experience is where you need to go to get the best information. But Colby's on that over 5.5. On Southern Miss, right? Is that what it is?
Yes. I still am baffled that I don't even understand. They should have I'm always fascinated by how they come up with the win totals, and I know some guys, I always kind of pick their brain at this, and I'm like, but it's Marshall
because it's Marshall. This is
I'm like,
Marshall.
You're valuing it. If you follow college basketball, you saw Drake last year basically take a team that had won a bunch of championships on a sub level, and of course Drake hadn't been to the NCAA tournament since the 70s, and they went the furthest they've been. And I'm like, if you just pay attention to it, I don't think I'm a genius. I just think this is, if anyone just looks at this, it's Marshall. You're playing Marshall, who won the conference last year.
Yep.
Anyway,
all right, Sam, what do you have in the G5? Or
I hate to say it, for the Service Academy, Air Force under. I think they've struggled the last few years. Like they're not building the program that they were. I think they're pretty far behind a lot of the Mountain West teams. So Air Force under. Let's see what else in the MAC. Buffalo. I'm a big fan of the Buffalo Bulls this year. They return a lot of pieces. They were really good last year. They put together a good coaching staff, easy schedule. So
What's
I have I have them to win 8+ at plus 120.
I like it. I'll jump on that.
Yep. Big fan.
So is it over? You're saying it's over 7.5?
Yeah, but
Plus
DK had a pricing issue, so I took the +8+ market.
Okay, I got you.
UTEP. I'm a big fan of UTEP this year. Good program momentum. Return their quarterback. Best 2 recruiting classes in school history back-to-back years.
Who's their coach?
Scotty Walden.
Yes, good call. Good pull.
What's the over under on that, Sam, on UTEP?
5.5. I have it at +1.
Just so when I aggregate this stuff, I have a number. That's all.
Yep. Georgia Southern, I like.
He's ripping them off.
Sorry, Georgia Southern, I like. Again, another team returns their quarterback.
What do you like about them? Over?
Return their quarterback, did well in the portal, over 7.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Tricky schedule, though. Tricky schedule.
All right. Who's got another play, Bill or Colby?
I got a lot. I mean,
right, give me a few.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take Liberty on that screen over 9.5. No, they don't have a Power 5 on the schedule. Caden Salter was kind of locked down. Now he's at Colorado. He was kind of locked into that deal. He didn't want to be there last year. He brings in his former Coastal Carolina quarterback, Jamie Chadwell. That is, they might lose to JMU, but that's at Liberty. And that's a rivalry game that I like. Those fan bases do not like each other. So I do think I would favor Liberty there. The other tricky game is at Old Dominion. The Conference USA is pretty down this year. They lost Rich Rodriguez. I
wish the Delaware game was in Delaware because I feel like that could be a tricky spot, but it's in Lynchburg. And so they're probably going to get that one too. But I think the Blue Hens, I want to take Delaware over 4.5. I went through their schedule. It's not looking good, but
I took it.
They're better than people think. Delaware is better than people think.
You said that JMU and Liberty don't like each other. Do those fan bases like anybody? Liberty loves God, but I don't think those fan bases love anybody.
But yeah, the in-state though. I mean, you feel like no one likes Liberty
teams.
Yeah.
I have JMU over. I have JMU to win the Sun Belt at plus 340.
I mean, you got to love it because of the divisions. Like, they're going to be in the. I really think they're going to be in the championship game. Like the only one that would not, like, maybe App State is just better than we realize because, Loggins comes in there and the talent's probably decent within there, and they were just coached bad last year. But I'm with you. My thing is Southern Miss and JMU in the championship game. And
have you I want to go back to the Delaware note, Colby, because you said you like the over. Do you know about their quarterback?
They have two quarterbacks from my recollection that have started. They have two quarterbacks. So I believe their quarterback that they are penciling in starting missed the season last year, right?
I love how serious you're taking this inquiry. I love because
if you know that, I think you know where he's going.
Yeah, the one guy. Yeah, I went to school in Delaware with a guy named Ted Yakuchi, and the quarterback who played last year was Nick Minicucci, and I've heard that guy has a very tight spiral, and I like his potential, and so I'm down with Minicucci if he ends up winning the job, and so yeah, I might hop on that over on Delaware.
Yeah, you really lubed that one up, Colby.
I think he's the favorite. But I don't know that I've heard that they have announced a starter. But that program's been good for a long time.
Yes,
I think
they'll be a big splash when they do.
That's why the Liberty one. You're hilarious. That's why the Liberty one's a smash. Though, that whole conference is in like reset. Casey Keeler leaves San Jose.
I mean, that's basically an FCS conference. I mean, it's just above. There's some. Rich Rod was just in that conference, right? I mean, it's the cradle of coaches, really, because they all get hired by other teams. My other play was Memphis over 8.5. Arkansas is the only power team on their schedule, and it's in Memphis. Chattanooga, Georgia State, Troy. I don't love that Troy and Georgia State are on the road, but they're very winnable. And then they get USF, Tulane, and Navy at home. And so Memphis, to me, they can get 9 wins. They can go over. Silverfield is 21-5 the last 2 seasons at Memphis. And so I like the Memphis over. It's a little bit of a one of my more, I'm getting plus value on the odds, but that would be my second play.
So can you do us the favor, Colby, and make us a bet that they go, can you do a parlay where Memphis hits the over and then an ACC team hires their coach? Do we get that as like we get that as a parlay?
We get a play for that.
We could, yeah. I mean, dude, it's probably an offshore probably offering that, but
well, Tulane's the other coach to watch, right? Like he's getting hired by somebody.
Yeah.
No, I mean the thing that's interesting about and I'm going to take you on a tangent here, but the USC angle. Cody Campbell, Texas Tech alum, played with Lincoln Riley. I wonder if Lincoln Riley's tired of that because he kind of joined the USC thinking they weren't going to the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. I wonder if Cody Campbell makes him a ridiculous offer if things don't work out with Joey McGuire. That's
You're doing the Brian Windhorse right now.
That's something to watch. I'm just saying that. I'm just
Billy,
saying.
Do you have any final plays from the G5?
No, it took me. No, I don't know anything about any of these teams. I just
Notre Dame. You could have made a play on Notre Dame. You don't like that under?
I mean, Notre Dame is a weird one for me. I think the variance for Notre Dame is very similar to the variance for like Florida State. They have so much new, and Riley Leonard did so much for them. But I think one of the bets I will be placing is Jeremiah Love to win the Heisman. I just love Jeremiah Love. I just don't know if I don't have a good feel on how their team is going to be. I also will go as far as say I think Jeremiah Love is the Christian McCaffrey of this draft. I think he is going to be a phenomenal throw.
Yeah. I stamp that. I stamp Jeremiah Love for Heisman. My last one though is Boise to the college football playoff is plus 190. They play at Notre Dame, which the college football playoff selection committee has told us in years past is a throwaway game. And so I think,
that's why Notre Dame's schedule is pretty wacky this year.
Yeah,
I mean, it's always weird, but this year I think it's even crazier than it normally is.
Yeah, they lose Genty, but I think they're just so much significantly better than every other team they play. UNLV is getting some hype, I think, more because of Mullen than any of their actual players. So I think Boise is head and shoulders above every other G5 team, to be honest.
I'll stay on this here. Whereas I like the under on UNLV, but also in that same conference, I think the biggest threat to Boise is San Jose State. I like San Jose State to potentially crash the college football playoffs. Ken Niumatalolo, year 2, they bring back 4 of 5 starters on the O-line, and they didn't find their quarterback until halfway through the season. Walker Egan, he's back. I think their OC, it runs the spread and shred offense. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Craig Stutzman. I think he's going to be a head coach soon. And to me, I think San Jose State, you look at that schedule, you look at the top 4 teams from a year ago, it was Boise 1, UNLV 2, San Jose State 3, Colorado State 4. They don't play any of them. And in the Mountain West, you host the championship game. So I think there's a shot they could host. And if you remember, they played Boise. And in fact, I was at Mountain West Media Days, and Spencer Danielson said they should have lost to San Jose State last year, right? One of the worst beats in the history of college football, dude. If you watch that game.
Find me the biggest moment in California Mormon history other than if Ken Niumatalolo leads San Jose State to the playoff in between Steve Young winning the championships in San Francisco. Be hard pressed to find another one.
So San Jose State, is that where the coach from Arizona came from?
Mm-hmm.
Dick Tomey?
No.
Brent Brennan? You're saying, yeah.
So is San Jose State like low key like a football factory? Are they like if they can keep doing this coach after coach, it's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
They do have a rich history. I mean, Dick Vermeil and Bill Walsh are from there. So they were kind of in taboo a little bit there. You know, fan buy-in and stuff was interesting. They're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. But I'm just saying that I really think this team is flying under the radar. There's value on taking them.
We'll let you plant that flag.
I agree.
And Boise's probably. I have Boise playing them. Obviously, I would take Boise to beat San Jose State. But you can also find San Jose State to make the Mountain West Championship for plus 200.
Pete, this was the funniest segment because we came into it and you're like, let's be quick. And then you're like, give me
let me talk about Mini Coochie. Let's get that in there. I have to get that.
This is where you're going to like seriously though. These are where the value is. Like,
yes.
So many people have bet on SEC win totals and stuff like that the markets, like the books have figured it out.
Mm.
This stuff is where you can actually find value.
All right, let me add ACC to the stage here.
Oh,
this is where it really gets dark. No, the college football experience put out their Virginia Tech preview yesterday. Moneyline Mac and Pick Dundee, who is on our show currently, had a lot to say about the Hokies, and we are going to get into the Hokies. You can see them at 6.5 on the screen. Save those thoughts for right now. I want your outside of Virginia Tech, Colby, I want your best play from the ACC.
I think it's Pitt. I think Pitt is live to make the ACC championship. I'm a big fan. I am a big fan. So well, look, the last time he had a really good offensive coordinator in year 2 was Mark Whipple. They won the ACC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cade Bell was year 1 last year. He's the son of Kerwin Bell, the old Florida quarterback in the late 80s. And he was at Western Carolina, who is like a top 15 FCS team. His dad coaches them now, still. He brought in Desmond Reed from Western Carolina last year, who was ACC Newcomer of the Year. That Western Carolina team can score. And to me, last season, Pitt was 7-0, and then Eli Holstein gets injured. One of the sneaky things I thought they did this year was they brought in Cole Gonzalez, the starting quarterback from Western Carolina. So if Holstein, I'm not saying Gonzalez is going to start, I don't know. But I like the depth now. So if you have that injuries, and then to me, you also brought in another Western Carolina wideout that I think could make a difference in Poppy Williams. But the defense is pretty loaded this year. And to me, the schedule is what I love. The schedule to me, for the most part, I think there's a path. They host Miami on like November 29th. I think that's probably their hardest conference game. November 29th, the Miami boys going up to Pittsburgh. Good luck. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they got to come to Blacksburg first, too.
I know.
Like, that's
back way. Yeah. Good
tough,
luck,
dude. That's really tough. And you're the second person I've heard now high on Pitt, right? Because Billy, Ty Hildenbrand from the Solid Verbal is very high on Pitt this year as well.
I'll say this too about Pitt, though. I don't think they're going to compete for the ACC, but the case for them to do so is that 2 games. If they can win, they play Georgia Tech before they play Miami. They're at Georgia Tech. If they can somehow win both of those games, those are the 2 teams they're likely competing for the other spot with in the ACC. So if they can navigate the front end of their schedule and just get to November, their November is my fade on Pitt is that I think they're going to win 1 game in November. It's Stanford, Notre Dame, at Georgia Tech, and Miami. But if they just don't do that, you can lose the Notre Dame game and it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all getting into the ACC championship. So that's an interesting pick. You probably get great odds if you take Pitt to make the ACC championship. I can't imagine what those are.
Yeah, I actually parlayed Iowa to make the Big Ten championship with Pitt to make the ACC championship, and I threw in, and you can do this on DK.
Wouldn't you just love to be in his app? Like, I would love to see what Colby has on the board for this fall. It's got to just be pages and pages.
Hear me out, though, man, because we all agree Liberty will be in the Conference USA championship game, right?
I would tend to agree, yes.
I think there's no way they're not in the game. They might not win it, but to me, I can't, with everyone else hitting reset, and the FCS teams aren't eligible. So, to me, I just threw Liberty in there last, but $50 will get you 18 grand, just about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. So just to be in those games.
I want to make the Big Ten championship, which this was my thing I was telling you guys, was I had USC, Iowa, and Washington with the same record. So I was going crazy because I was like, who would they don't play each other.
Yeah.
So I was like,
common opponent.
Who the hell would they? Well, each conference's bylaws are different. So you're just like, wait, is it scoring difference? Is it the record of the common opponent? Is it just but I think whether you're with me, I know Sam, you're with Washington, and I'm high on Washington as well. That those odds are even better, I believe, than I was. I think by a little bit. So look, $50. What are you doing? 18 grand.
Something to look at. It's something to look at for sure.
I'll tell you what. I hope that happens, because when you get to the last week, you're gonna like Portnoy outside of the Big Ten conference building to make sure that Iowa wins the tiebreaker.
I mean that's the thing with these ridiculous conferences, right?
Yeah.
All right, Billy, what do you have from the ACC in terms of a play outside of the Hokies?
I'm so glad this is still available. I have a heart pick and I have a lock, and this is my lock. Duke at 6.5 is disrespectful to Duke. Darian Mensah is one of, if not the best, ACC newcomer. They do not play Louisville or Miami. They have won 8+ 6 times dating back to 2014. This is the best decade in program history. Manny Diaz puts another good year together. He could probably get out of there, which he wants to do probably pretty badly. I mean, look at the schedule. I can't make a case against it. They got Elon, Illinois, at Tulane. Stop doing that. NC State, at Syracuse, at Cal. They haven't played anybody yet, except for Illinois.
If they get the Illinois win, it becomes a lock. Obviously.
Yes.
Like that would be my pick. I'm over. Like, I know they paid a lot of money for the quarterback. It might not go as good as they expect it to go, but Duke has won 7 wins 3 years in a row already.
This is happening.
And so they just go out and buy the highest priced quarterback they've ever had, and now they're going to get less than 7 wins.
This is happening.
I don't think so. Go ahead.
I'm going to co-sign this as well.
Yes.
And
all right. Nice.
They paid up to keep their defensive guys. Chandler Rivers might be the first corner off the board in the NFL draft. Ohio State wanted him. They paid up to keep him there. Wesley Williams on the D line, and Mensah, I do believe. I said something crazy on my show saying I think Mensah will win a Heisman before he's done, but it is at Duke, so it doesn't mean this year. I'm just saying, like, because he's only a sophomore.
Right. He could go to an SEC team next. Who knows?
I think he's a really good quarterback, man. Like, I think they're going to be really good this year.
Yeah, Colby, and I don't know if I know this doesn't mean a lot, but I liked listening to Manny Diaz talk about his program at ACC Media Day. I don't know. I really think this is the most disrespectful line that is available in the ACC. I am so confident.
It's not great. The reason why it's at 6.5 is because it's juiced. It's juiced over. Like it's minus 205, but it is still sitting at 6.5. So you could probably get an alt line at 7 if you wanted it, or maybe 8. But regardless, both me and Bill are on that, and Colby with the cosign. Sam, what do you have?
Yeah, I mean Duke should go 7-5, 8-4. Like that's what they should do. So
you
this year.
co-sign it as well.
Yeah. Orange maroon glasses. Take them off. Set them on the table. Virginia, all of their hype was based around their schedule and bringing in some transfers. Like 2 of their top 3 transfers are either out for the year or out for multiple months.
Yep.
And their best defensive player is going to be out probably 4 to 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're a well-coached team at all. And they didn't make any coaching changes. I don't think that's a 7-5 team. I think they're 6-6 if the transfers hit and like Chandler Morris is good, because think even with Brennan Armstrong, they were only like 6-6, right? Am I misremembering that?
I think 1 year they were better than that, but I think his biggest year was 6-6, right? Or no, that was Bryce Perkins when they went.
Yeah,
to
it was Bryce Perkins in 2019.
I'm pretty sure they were very mediocre the year.
They were very like
bad defense, very bad defense.
They're. I mean, I haven't said it all show, so they're too deep. Drink. There you go. He's not good.
Yeah.
And so
Sam, I co-signed this one. I had it on my board, and I'm looking at them. They lost 2 offensive linemen that they portaled already. Chandler Morris, his numbers in the American were a little bit of empty calories. A lot of bad defenses in that conference he was able to load up on. And the Cam Robinson thing is pretty devastating for the first half of the year. So I am also taking UVA under. And they all are saying Tony Elliott has to hit 7. He has to hit 8 because the schedule is just that easy. Mm-hmm. I don't care. It's UVA. They don't have depth. They're already getting hit with injuries. I am going under. I'm not even taking off my orange and maroon glasses. Yeah. I'm leaving them on, and I'm still taking under.
My other under that I like, I've been really wishy-washy on this, but I think I've landed Louisville under 8.5. My reason being, I think they're going to be in a shootout almost every game. I like the idea of Miller Moss. Like, he's like that person you dated. You like the idea of him, not the actual person. Like, he did lose his job at USC last year.
But it's not just Miller Moss. It's Miller Moss and Jeff Brom. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I know Colby's got an opinion on this. He's a big Brom guy.
Brom is amazing.
I took the over, but I don't. It's not one of my locks. So
8-4 is in here. I think James Madison week 2 is a little tricky. They have to travel to Pitt. They travel to Miami. They travel to Virginia Tech, and they travel to SMU, as well as hosting Clemson. I just see 8-4 for them. And you get that at plus 128, so you get a bit of value as well. And then I have Clemson at over 9.5. It's 10.5 now, but I'm a big Clemson. I think Clemson will be natty this year. So
I have Pete. Did you have one? Because I have one more.
I'm on Cal under 5.5.
Yeah,
Cal under 5.5.
I don't think that needs a ton of explanation, but they just named a true freshman their starting quarterback. They lost all their running backs. Harsin, noted culture guy, is in at OC. So I actually think Harsin and Wilcox, coaching wise, is a decent combination. It's just the culture and the environment over there is such a mess.
Yeah.
I just think they're going under. So
I was pretty stunned that the Ohio State transfer lost the job to a true freshman. That was pretty surprising.
He must not be very good.
Definitely must not. You're going to love this, Sam. Dave Doran. He's had 3 losing seasons in Raleigh. He's coming off a really shitty season last year. And not really, just a not great season. In 2013, he went 3-9, and then he followed it up with 8-5. In 2018, he went 4-8 and followed it up with 8-4. In 2024, he went 6-7, and this year their over/under is set at 6.5. They do not play Louisville. They do not play Clemson. They do not play SMU. They have 2 new coordinators. I'll tell you what, I can also see them winning 5 of their first 6. I mean, hell, they could win 6 of their first 6. It's Campbell, Virginia Tech, Duke, Wake Forest, Virginia, East Carolina. Back half of that schedule is a little brutal. You got Notre Dame, you got Miami. Who knows what Florida State's going to be? Who knows what North Carolina is going to be? My case is Dave Doran answers the door when he needs to, and I think that answers the bell or door, whatever. I think that they're going to go over 6.5.
Okay.
Another school with a new president, chancellor guy.
I don't like. I think Dave Doran is even the numbers you listed off, Bill, were like I heard a 4, I heard a 3, I heard a 6. Like,
he can't win 10. He's at NC State. He's got it's impossible to win 10 games at NC State.
What do you like here, Cole?
I mean, the NC State one, I mean, I actually like the under just because they're bringing in a new OC, a new DC, and I'm not very fond of both of them. But The one that I like most is Miami under 9.5.
Yes.
I can't get there, guys. Like, I think they have the worst in-game coach in
Mhm.
college football. And then
Yeah, well, we might have to be.
that's even funnier now because I was thinking, are you guys talking Narduzzi? But then the light bulb went off in my head. I will say the schedule. First off, you had the number one offense in America last year, and even with that, you had a horseshoe up your ass. The Hail Mary game with your Hokies, the cow game with the illegal man blocking downfield.
Oh yeah,
and the non-targeting on Mendoza, the Louisville game with the fumble that wasn't really a fumble, right? They were lucky as hell last year, and I do like the DC hire, but I don't care.
Yeah.
The offense is due for regression, and to me, this year's schedule is much harder than last year's. You have non-con games against Notre Dame, South Florida, and Florida.
those first 4 weeks, it's tough.
Oh yeah, and then like to me at Florida State, look, I don't know what Florida State is, but I know they're not a 2-win team this year. So I'm going to say that's going to be trickier. Louisville, first off, they have no home edge down there in Miami Gardens. Louisville, last time they played Louisville in Miami Gardens, that was a Louisville crowd. I think Louisville's live on that Friday night there. At SMU is tricky. I don't even like the spots with Syracuse and NC State that deep into November because I think those teams might be a little bit better by then. But at Virginia Tech and at Pitt in a very cold, I mean, you guys know how cold it can get at Lane in November. So, I mean, I just think there's a lot to ask of Mario Cristobal. And another thing is Carson Beck's injury stuff. Who are their wideouts? I mean, you look at it's like a in a major league. You're like, who are these guys?
And JoJo
right?
Trader's been banged up for them.
Mhm.
He has, like there's questions about the wideouts. To your point,
On Miami, real quick, I really have a hard time seeing less than 3 losses between Notre Dame, Florida, FSU, Louisville, Tech, and Pittsburgh.
Pitt money line.
I mean, look at
they did in Syracuse in the last game of the year last year. Like that was on a silver platter. Yeah, and now they're going to
I had that Syracuse game loaded up in May last year. It's like they're going to lose that game. I guarantee.
I think we put it in an article.
Yeah,
I swear to God, I think I wrote that article and I said like when they go to Syracuse, like that is the time their season could die.
I agree on Miami.
The field goal. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I agree on Miami there. I've been high on them, and as the last few weeks have happened, I've kind of gone lower and lower on them. As for North Carolina State, CJ Bailey did not impress me as much when I watched him play. I also think they're kind of poor. Like they. I think they spent all their money on CJ Bailey and basketball.
Will Wade.
Like dude, I don't think they don't have the facilities. Like I think Tech is in a much better NIL position than NC State.
Well, actually, that's interesting because Billy, remember at the ACC Media Days? I don't know if you were there. Were you there the first day?
I was there every day.
Okay, well, when the commissioner gave his speech, Jim Phillips, the Charlotte Observer, I believe, asked a question that there is something up for the North Carolina State within the state in their election for all the North Carolina schools to be divvied out $13 million for NIL purposes moving forward. It hasn't gone in yet, but that blew my mind. And I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, so you're telling me NC State and North Carolina and any other the public schools would potentially
let's not rebuild Boone, North Carolina. Let's buy wide receivers for NC State. I mean,
yeah, right.
But it made me think about the whole landscape of college sports. I was like, are all these state institutions going to be starting to do this?
Well, that actually, Bill, I'm glad you said that. And just moving aside the Boone, North Carolina point, because last year Colby on his show, they were running a fundraiser for one of the places that was devastated by the flooding and all. What was that called, Colby? The guys that did that?
Oh man,
Mountain something. I can't remember.
Yeah. I know this too. It was at
if it comes to you, just let it.
It was at a Cullowhee, North Carolina. Actually, it was not in Boone. It was, but they did cover. They did help out with Boone. I can find that for you. I know it, but I don't know it.
All good. Okay. Well, let's talk about Tech here. Now that we kind of went through everything that we could. We saved Tech for last. They are 6.5. It's juiced to the under a bit at -148. And when you were talking about us on your show with Moneyline Mac yesterday, you said that a lot of times last year we looked unprepared as a team way too often, and that our record in one-score games, you guys brought that up, the 1-12 thing. In fact, when you were at ACC Media Days, you were the first question to Brent Pry, and you brought up the close losses to him, to his face. So we give you a lot of credit for that.
Not sure he liked that, by the way.
He gave a funny answer.
It was deserved. It was deserved. And yeah, he made people laugh with the answer. Before we get to your win total pick for us, what are your thoughts on some of the changes we made? Most notably bringing in Montgomery as OC and Matt Moore. Like, what do you think about what we did in the offseason?
I am one that I thought Montgomery, and I know some people say, well, the game has changed, but I thought he got a raw deal at Tulsa. He had them in the conference championship game, like a year removed from his firing, or was it 2 years removed from his firing?
He was very good in his last 3 years, 14-8 in conference. I mean, he wasn't bad at all.
And Tulsa's enrollment is like, I think that's one of the harder jobs in all of D1 college football. It's like they have like 3,000. I don't remember the exact number, but it's not a lot of people that are going to that university. So I think it's a very hard job. Now the question is because I know some people, the knock will be that the game has passed it by, because obviously he had some success prior to the Tulsa gig as an OC. I think it's going to work though. I think he's a good football coach. Now, I do have my reservations with Brent Pry, because it's not only last year, guys. I have issues every time I've watched him as a head coach. The team does not look very prepared to me. Like, I hope that he has, one thing I will say is he's a first-time head coach, and there's something to be said for, like, you have to learn this about yourself, and about, man, what am I doing incorrectly?
Year 4 now.
Yeah.
It's year 4.
Oh no, to me, if it was up to me, I probably would have already canned him. But at the same time, like, I do think there's something for patience, and I do believe that you can change it and pinpoint maybe things you're doing incorrectly. Back in the days, they used to give coaches a long time. I remember, like, Bill McCartney at Colorado, who won the national championship for them. Like, it took him to like year 5 or 6 to really get that thing going. Beamer. They were like Beamer too. Yeah, exactly. So, like, if he's that self-aware where he can pinpoint those things, but that's the thing that stood out to me the most was I just feel like they're very unprepared, and they're always doing slow starts. They probably would have beat Rutgers if they could have got to that level, or Vandy, the level that they were. Yeah, that they were playing at in the third quarter, or by that point.
It's like we didn't know how to play football for the first 30, 40 minutes of a lot of these games. And 2 years ago, when Drone started to make his emergence, they were trying to figure out how to get a faster start, like, especially on the road, we were having problems. So they woke all the guys up early, and we go up and beat the crap out of Boston College. Exactly, Billy. And then we come in the next year, and like, this has been a recurring thing with Virginia Tech. Is like, oh, we think we fix a problem, and then the next year we see the exact same problem. So I also like the addition of Montgomery. I think Billy was on board, Sam was on board, and the Matt Moore thing on offensive line might even be a bigger deal.
That too. That's the DC. Now I don't know about the DC, but I'm saying, like, the Moore thing I'm buying into as well.
Yeah. So and in terms of Kyron Drones, he was hurt for the end of spring. He had a procedure. We even talked a little bit about it at one point. What do you think about him as a quarterback, like, going into this year? Do you have faith that he can kind of right the wrongs of the last 2 years? Have you seen enough that you're kind of out on him? Like, what do you think about Kyron?
I think he could be pretty good in that. And I think Montgomery is solid with quarterbacks. So I think that can work to his benefit. Now, I wasn't buying the hype. Like, my co-host on the Sports Gambling Podcast is a Virginia Tech alum, and he was getting a Heisman future last year. And I was like, man, in my eyes, like, he's never looked great. He's had moments where he looks good, right? And but I do think Montgomery, this is the best OC I think they've had in Pry's tenure, in my opinion.
Probably in your lifetime.
Yeah, Scotty Leffler flashbacks. But no, you're right, and the only fear is just the preparation. Because I do believe that, and to me, like, they get dumb penalties at to me, they just stand out under Pry as kind of a team that lacks coaching. I hate to say this, but it's like that everything, like, I don't believe the teams. Okay, maybe they weren't as talented as the Beamer teams back in the day that had draft picks every round, but I still think you look at that team and I'm like, man, if you put a different coach at that team would win 8 and 9 games. You know,
To your point, Colby, I was on the phone with Rich Luttenberger today, and I'll preface this by saying I hope it changes, and I hope that a lot of this had to do with the two coordinators that we had. But the story of Virginia Tech for the last 2 seasons has been, the mantra is always, it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. It actually totally has been about the X's and the O's these last 2 seasons. Like that's not backhanded. That's just a fact. No double numbers on the field, coming out, not looking prepared, not knowing what quarterback to play, clock management. So I feel like it comes down to this. If the coaching is better, I don't see how this team is not better from a win-loss perspective than last year. But that's a big question mark. So
I've been hammering the coaching on this team since year 1 of Pry. That offense, people were like, the talent is just so far down. Grant Wells isn't very good. The coaching was so bad, so very bad.
You were on it.
And it's been so bad the whole time. It has not been a talent issue. We played horrible in the beginning of 2023. All of a sudden, Kyron comes in, we figure something out, and we beat the crap out of a bunch of teams, and everyone gets on our hype train. And last year, we come in, the coaching is bad again. And hopefully we've done enough with the changes that is different, right, Sam? Like that. That's
I think so. And I'm probably tired of hearing me talk advanced stats stuff, but if you look at Tech on opponent adjusted expected points added per play on offense, which basically just ranks how good your offense is.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at that stat.
In 2022, they were 117th. In 23, they were 82nd. And 24, they were 77th. Like, I don't see a world where under Phil Montgomery and with a Matt Moore coached offensive line that they're 77th in offense.
You cannot be that. Not with 4 wide receivers that returned last year. Not with Kyron back. Not with Bashal Tootin of all people, who's a drafted running back. Not many running backs get drafted.
Yeah,
and he managed to put out 77. Like,
yeah, I think I would not be surprised if you look at metrics and this team is like top 45 in offense and defense in that. I don't know how many wins that necessarily goes to this year, because I think there's obviously like you talked about, like there's so many other factors with this team, but I think offensively they're going to be significantly better than they had been.
So Colby, we want your over under play before, like, cause I'm over, but like we need your play.
Thank you. First off, it is mountainprojects.org, by the way.
Mountain Projects.
Shout out to Mountain Projects for helping a lot of people. So I took the over, but this is one that is tricky to me because Kramer tells me they won't fire a coach mid-season. And I'm like, if you have Philip Montgomery, don't you want to give him a little bit of a try?
Can you define
if
mid?
The chips are down?
Middle of the season? What is the middle of the season? Because
first or second bye week. First or second bye week. Like, so that's what the reason why I didn't bet this, and I'm probably not going to bet this, is because I hate having that uncertainty. You know what I mean? Like, unless I'm on the under, I don't want an over where your coach could get fired, because in this day and age of college football, like your team starts thinking about the portal. You've seen it before with teams where it's just like, oh God, like Florida State last year, perfect example. But and they didn't fire the coach, but I'm just saying, like, that's one where like they clearly quit. They were not a fireable
offense.
2-10
was a fireable offense.
But you've seen it before when Mullen got fired at Florida in the Mizzou game. Then it was just like, man, the Oregon State beat them by like 50 in the bowl game, right? Like, so I'm always weary of teams like that. But I took the over. And is there validity to? But is there validity to you? Don't think they'll fire a coach mid-season?
Here's the issue: is that our AD and him are kind of like tied at the hip, because our AD's hired 2 football coaches. If Brent Pry doesn't work out, he doesn't get to hire a third. So who fires who when he knows that his ass is on the line? So like, if we're 0-2 after the first 2 SEC games, which could happen, like, yeah, it's not looking too good. But like, how long does it take before the actual firing happens? Does the AD have to be fired? Does the board of visitors step in? Like, it's very messy. So that's another reason why it doesn't seem like something that would happen during the
Well,
season.
if you, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. If you guarantee me he's there all year, I do like the over.
The only, if I were removing that point, Pete, which is 100% true, if I'm looking at our schedule, the week after Cal is the week I'm like, if that's going to happen and it's going poorly, that's when it's going to be. If Virginia Tech is like 500 or below and then finds a way to lose to Cal, then you have Louisville, Florida State, Miami, and Virginia to end the year. Like, that's the spot. If I'm guessing a spot, like
if we lost to Cal, I think you're probably right.
If we lost to Cal, he'd be fired before he made it into.
It would be a Lane Kiffin tarmac situation.
Well, no, watch. What's going to happen is we're gonna have one loss at that point and then lose to Cal. That's what that will.
Come on, let's not do this. Okay, well, we went to Colby likes the over. Me and Sam have talked about our win total, so we're gonna do that on our season preview show. But last time I predicted mine. Sam predicted his. It was over, so we're good there. I just want Colby's quick thoughts on South Carolina before we kind of let him go here.
They were actually. I had another lock that we never got to, and I'm on the under in South Carolina on 7.5 wins. You lose 5 guys drafted on the defensive side of the ball. There's a 6th that is currently on an NFL.
There was
roster.
11 guys at the combine for South Carolina, meaning they didn't come back.
Yeah, and I also. Like, they did get hot. Credit to Shane Beamer. They got hot. They were really dangerous at the end of the year. I also saw Old Dominion should have beat them week 1. You know what I mean? Like, Old Dominion outgained them and fumbled inside their own 10 with the lead with 4 minutes left. So I just am not ready to just crown South Carolina yet. So I took the Hokies in the points. Now, I still have South Carolina winning that game because, but it wouldn't shock me if Virginia Tech won that game. It would not at all.
South Carolina is one of those teams where if you just listened to the media and you just listened to SEC people talk about it, you'd be like, oh, their over-under has to be at 9.5. And even at 7.5, you're like, oh, okay. So Vegas doesn't think that they're as good as everybody else does. I mean, they're the 13th ranked team in the country with a 7.5 over-under, which is crazy to think about.
Their end of their schedule is so brutal. And you're right. Like all these SEC, there's 10 SEC teams in the top 25. So that's ludicrous to begin with. I don't want to get Colby started on that, but it's actually
the ESPN FPI. That's such an
it's such a joke, dude. It's such a joke.
All of those teams went up. I'll tell you this. Virginia Tech was 26th in the FPI a month ago. We are now 31st. You know who's higher than us? SEC teams.
How does that
SEC
happen?
teams? Yeah. Because who knows why? Because this is what they do. But regardless, where'd you get the number at for that South Carolina game, Colby?
I got 8.5.
Okay.
So
I think it just dropped.
Yeah.
I think
it did. But I mean, dude, for week 1, I bet a lot of my stuff in June. But like the Toledo one, I know you got 8. Man, I'm sitting on 10.5.
Look at you go.
But that sometimes goes the other way. That sometimes goes the other way, dude. Sometimes you
just
bet
take money
something and then you find out the starting quarterback's out and you're like, damn, why did I bet that in June? You know what I mean? So you like to think you're smart, but sometimes it's just nonsense, just luck of the draw. But yeah, I'm South Carolina is one. I do think Virginia Tech's live. I just wish that game was in Blacksburg or something, obviously, but we'll see. It's Lenora Sellers is breaking in a new OC. There's the sophomore slump's a real thing. It's a real thing, so like, I do believe, yes, he's incredibly talented. Yes, he's probably going to be a starting NFL quarterback soon, but I also think regression could be happening. You saw it with a lot of, take Jalen Daniels, for example, at Kansas. Kotelnicki leaves for Penn State. The first 7 weeks, he looked uncomfortable. He just looked like, what the hell? It almost looked like he was just thinking too much, right? With this new OC, he's like, wait, we're doing different shit. That could be the case when you see Shula with Lenora Sellers there.
Sellers is not sneaking up on anybody this year. That's the difference too.
Yeah.
I mean, people are
there's
trying
more
to figure
tape.
out how to
Yeah,
guard
there's
him
way
away.
more tape on him too. So, because remember they started. I think didn't they start Robbie Ashford week 1, or at least he played in that game.
He played a bunch of games, but he didn't because Sellers had injury problems, and I don't remember exactly what happened in week 1 with Ashford off the top of my head, but. He's at Wake now, who we also play. So that should hopefully be a win. I'm going to that one. Colby, if you do end up at any Virginia Tech games this year in your travels, you make sure to let us know. But you have been way too kind with your time. We've kept you a long time, and we appreciate you sharing all your knowledge with the over-unders and everything. Make sure you guys are checking out the college experience. What can people expect from you throughout the week during the college football season?
Oh man, we break down every single game, FCS and FBS, and we'll break down 3 or 4 different. We'll have our main pick show on Wednesday covering the Saturday games, but on Monday and Tuesday we'll go through every MACtion, CUSA game, any weekday game, and that includes the FCS. So I appreciate you guys letting me hop on your show. I've actually, and I meant to say this on the beginning, but I'm just a prick. I've caught your guys' show many times, and I really think you guys do a good product. So, sometimes sometimes the YouTube algorithm recommends me. I've sent you messages. I've been like, I saw you guys fading my boy Diego Pavia, right? But no,
I was nervous about Diego Pavia last year.
He was
you about that.
He was nervous. I think Pete was the only person on planet Earth who was like, Vanderbilt might not be terrible this year. So
real quick, I got one comment and one question. Number one, it's refreshing to have a pick'em gambling aficionado come on and then downplay his intelligence multiple times. You have dropped some names I haven't thought about in a decade, so please give yourself some more credit. That's number one. And number two, how do you guys know each other? What's the story again?
I pretty much, I think I did Jaeger bombs at his house a few times, but
no, he slept on Robbie's couch for like 6 months in Blacksburg.
Unbelievable.
Were you at New River Community College? Like, what were you doing?
No, so essentially it was this, man. So I had started doing, I've been doing stand-up for 20 years, and but I've always loved college football. College football since I was a kid, since 7 or 8 years old, I've watched as much as I could. Back in the day, like, you didn't have the options that you have today. So I would actually have the boombox listening to a game, right?
If you hear Colby talk about football, it sounds like he's 55 years old. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Remember the Colorado-Michigan Hail Mary? Yeah. I had to listen to that on the fucking radio because that was a top 5 matchup. People don't realize, but I had to listen to that on the radio because we got regional Maryland Wake Forest, right? Growing up in the DMV, right? So we were stuck with Scott Milanovic against Wake Forest. Both were terrible in the ACC at the time. And I was listening to the radio. It didn't really dawn on me that I sound like I'm in 1940 until one day I was telling someone I was listening to that game on the radio, and I was like,
it was on tape delay.
I sound like my father talking about the Johnny Unitas or something. But
you know who was good? Norm Van Brocklin. Now that guy could hit.
Yeah, but that's really what we had to do dude. I remember not getting the Red River Shootout for a bad ACC games because we would get the Maryland game or the Virginia game, right? We wouldn't even get the Hokies because they were Big East. So you would get the ACC game a lot of times.
Games, yeah.
But yeah. So essentially what happened was this: I resisted. I basically was going to college, hated it, and basically quit. My pops is like, dude, you're either out of the house or you better get back in school or you're out of the house. So I just hit up my friends, and then over the course of 8 months, it basically led me to Los Angeles, where I was pursue stand up. But my friends helped me out a lot, and it took me a little bit to work up the will to get to Los Angeles. But during that time period, it was when I was crashing. I hit up Robbie like, dude, can I crash on your couch in a bit of a jam? And also I'd like to drink alcohol and meet young women. Right. So,
unbelievable.
So yeah, that's essentially what happened, man. And then, we went out to LA, and Sports Gambling Podcast is actually founded by all comedians. So, and
that was a comedian network. You were trying to get into sitcoms and stuff maybe at one point.
I wrote a pilot, it failed. It got made though. It got made, which it was kind of crazy. Hollywood's crazy because I had 5 screenplays for movies that actually I spent years on making. And I thought I was going to get a movie made many times. Partied with producers that told me we're cracking the bottle. Your movie's getting made. Never got made, but I had a comedian friend hit me up. Shout out to Matt Gill, who wrote that Kevin Hart wedding movie, right? I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Oh yeah, what was that? I can't remember the name either.
But Matt Gill hits us up and he goes, dude, there's a writing contest to get a TV pilot made with Spike TV, but get this. It's going to get made in you have 24 hours to submit. And I didn't have a pilot. So me and a buddy quickly in 24 hours wrote a pilot, and damn if that didn't win and that pilot got made, but it failed, and it should have failed, to be honest with you, because
you wrote it in 24 hours.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it didn't follow character arc and shit the way you're supposed to. And in hindsight, you're just like, Hollywood's crazy. Cause I believe in these screenplays I have that never got made, but then this one gets picked up and this one gets made and fails. And I'm like, how did they think that like I read my buddy's screenplay who submitted to that same thing. It was way better than ours. So it's just a crapshoot is what I learned. So anyway, but yes, I did write a pilot, and Sports Gambling Podcast is founded by comedians. So check us out.
That's great. Sean Money Green, you got Kramer over there, who is a Virginia Tech grad. And there's a lot of East Coast ties. You went to ECU. We stole one of your guys in IBM to be our nickelback this year. So we appreciate that. Yeah. We canceled the series and we're taking your players.
Can you get on the schedule. Do you guys have your own beer? I'm going to leave you with this. Do you guys have your own beer?
We do have a beer for Sons of Saturday, right, Bill?
No. I'm saying Virginia Tech, though. Tell me about the Sons of Saturday, though.
We're available over at Bull and Bones. Saturday Shandy. Just got together with Bull and Bones and whipped it up. Go on and check it out in Blacksburg. You got to come down for a game, Colby.
Blacksburg watering hole. But
yeah, you got to come down for a game.
Hardywood has the Fighting Hokies lager they sell in the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I recently did like a college baseball road trip through the Carolinas. And I was taken back by like North Carolina going heavy into a beer, App State going heavy into a beer.
It's NIL.
Yeah, well, that's what
NIL.
But that's what's puzzling on the schools that don't. Because I was like, why would they not?
Well, I'll tell you why. Is a lot of these schools are so. The problem is there are some schools that are with NIL and they're excited to do it, but there are other schools that are like, this is our IP. Like, why are we giving you our IP to sell beer and then we're gonna take a haircut on the royalties? So it really boils down to like which schools are willing to help. You'd be shocked. I used to work in NIL. You'd be shocked at how many schools will throw up red flags where it's like, hey, we could make a good chunk of change here if we can just use the IP. And the school's like, no.
Wow. Well, because what was crazy was that when I was at App State, the baseball game I went to, like I bought the beer, which they said, and then they even said, would you like to tip on the screen, you know, like the iPad screen there, like, would you like to donate more money to their NIL collective? So, you know, me and my buddies were having some beers. So we're like, yeah, let's give them $20, right? Like, but I was like, why is not every university doing this? Because
the tip thing asked for NIL. I never even thought of that.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's next level.
Well, it just made me think, like, I was like, man, ECU, what the fuck are they doing? They don't have this, right? I was like, part of their games are just debauchery. So I was like, they should do that. You're mad at the starting quarterback. He's throwing 3 picks. I'm going to get a beer. And I'm putting $50 in this NIL to get a better quarterback. Right? Why would you not? Why would you not?
Yeah. Hey, it makes a lot of sense. That's actually pretty genius. After a few airplane bottles in the stands at Lane, we could raise a lot of NIL money.
Right.
All right, Colby, we're going to say goodbye. It's been 2 hours. You were fantastic. Billy, Sam, I don't even think you guys, we got to cut it off. We'll do more notes. I'm going to talk to Billy tomorrow.
Talk enough Hokies.
Yeah. We're going to talk Hokies in 2 days. Sam, Billy, I'll be on with you with a special guest tomorrow, but this was awesome, fellas. Make sure you subscribe. Sons of Saturday on YouTube, Sons of Saturday on the podcast feed, Apple Podcast, Spotify, 2D, Spotify and Apple Podcast. And of course our events, the 2D merch you can find on southwestvashop.com. All the good stuff. To Colby, Bill, and Sam, thanks for being here. And until next time, go Hokies.